Hello, and welcome to Ben and Matt Watch Game of Thrones.
Brought to you by the Sci-Fi Christian. Matt, this week we're going to be taking a look at episode 3 of Game of Thrones,
Which is
Lord
called
Snow.
Lord Snow.
But before we do, I want to point out that you have a prop here, my What the Frack mug from BSG.
Yes.
I figured I should have a prop too, so I brought this handy sword along with me.
Very good. So this is a real sword from King's Landing.
No, it's actually from Gladiator.
Oh.
But I wanted to make sure that if we get into a debate about this episode, I win.
Deal.
So, this will be fun.
Yes.
Matt, we had an amazing episode this week that was super dense, filled with tons of stuff. What did you think?
Well, yes, you're right. It was all over the place. We went from King's Landing to the Free Cities, all the way over to the Wall.
Wow, you're doing pretty good with your locations. Maybe that's because they're written on this whiteboard right down here in front of us. But never mind that. Where do you want to start? Wall, King's Landing, or Free Cities?
Let's start in King's Landing, because that's where the show started.
Okay, King's Landing, we had 6 new characters that we were introduced to.
6?
Yes.
Yeah, well, these are the ones I remember, and you tell me who else.
Go
There's
for it.
Peter, who...
Patai or Baelish.
Is that Peter?
It's Peter in the show. I go by the pronunciations from the audiobook.
Patai.
Patai or
So
Baelish.
Peter.
Also called Littlefinger.
Did they say that on the show?
I don't think so.
So Peter, it looks like, does he own like a prostitute house?
He owns a brothel.
A brothel.
Yes.
As they call them.
Indeed.
In the King's Landing. And I don't know, he seems to be friends with Ned's wife.
At one point, he was interested in marrying Catelyn.
I thought, did he marry her sister? Or how
No.
How was he so close with her then?
Catelyn, he was the ward of her father.
So what is a ward?
All a ward is it means that they raised him in lieu of his normal family.
Why? What happened to his real family?
Well, just like the whole deal with the Starks are raising Theon Greyjoy to keep the House Greyjoy in line.
Wait. What? Who's Theon Greyjoy?
Theon Greyjoy is the other boy who's about Robb and Jon's age, who was with the Stark family. You saw him in the first 2 episodes.
What did he
You'll be
do?
seeing more of him. He didn't do anything. His father at one point rebelled.
But tell me something about him that would remind me of his character.
He was there. He hasn't really had a lot of explicit scenes, but he was there in the scene where they found the dire wolves. So if you go back and watch that, you'll recognize Robb and Jon, and then there's another boy there who is Theon Greyjoy.
Okay, next. So back to Peter.
Yes, so Littlefinger, as I like to call him, was the ward of House Tully. He fell in love with Catelyn. Catelyn at the time was engaged to be married to Brandon Stark.
Wait, who?
Who is Ned Stark's brother.
Okay, and we found out in this episode he was killed along with Ned's father.
Yes.
By the
Targaryens.
Targaryens,
Yes.
evil blonde people.
So Littlefinger challenged Brandon to a duel to win Catelyn's hand, and he lost.
Did he lose his finger?
No.
No, that would have made sense.
But that, remember he made a reference to a scar going all up and down his chest? That's what he was talking
They
about.
didn't explain that at all.
Well,
Do you think they're going to?
maybe.
Okay.
So,
Next person we were introduced to is Bald Guy, who knows the future.
Varys, who is also called the Spider. He is the master of whispers and spies in King's Landing.
He knows things. So
He
are you
does.
saying he's not psychic? Because that's what I thought. He was maybe psychic.
I don't know. It's never made explicit whether or not he is truly psychic or whether or not he just has very good resources.
So
But
you're
either
telling me
way-
you've read 4 books.
Yeah.
And you still don't know if he's psychic.
Exactly.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Either way, though, Varys, interesting character. You'll be seeing much more of him.
Okay.
Who else do you remember?
That's it.
Next, we had Renly, who is King Robert's younger brother, who also sits on the council.
Nope, I don't remember him.
We'll be seeing more of Renly. Not so much in this year, but
There
next
was
year.
a guy that was talking to the king about their past kills. Is he important?
That was Barristan Selmy, who is the oldest member of the King's Guard. The King's Guard are sworn to protect the king. Jaime Lannister is also part of the King's Guard.
Yeah, that's weird. I just noticed that.
Jaime Lannister was part of the King's Guard for the previous king.
I thought he was... It sounded like he might have been the hand for the previous
No,
king.
he was part of the King's Guard. He betrayed his oath, murdered the king,
Stabbed him in the back.
and is therefore called the Kingslayer.
Oh, that's a really awesome title. That would be a sweet title there.
It is. We also have Grand Maester Pycelle, who is the old guy also sitting on the council, who is the advisor to King Robert. And finally, we have Syrio Farrell, who is Arya's dancing instructor. in the
No,
final
or
scene.
sword.
But he calls
Sword
himself
person.
the dancing master.
Yeah, I didn't get how important he was, but then you got all excited about him.
It was my favorite scene in the entire episode.
It was like, to me, what a pointless scene. It could have just been a middle of the episode random scene, and they ended the whole episode on it.
No, so what we saw was Arya is being trained at Ned's direction by Syrio Forel, who is a charismatic sword instructor.
Right, and the reason she's getting lessons, according to me, because I haven't read the book, is that Ned found the sword that Jon Snow had given her.
Yes.
And so he's like, all right, you can keep it, but then he wants her to actually get trained.
Yes, because in that final scene, Ned is looking on, and at first he's pleased, and then we hear that in his head he's hearing the clash of real steel, and he realizes that he has armed his 9-year-old daughter for war.
Right, and so we talked about this afterwards.
Great ending.
You thought it was an awesome ending. I thought, that was kind of a lame ending. Nothing. The last 2 episodes had semi-big cliffhangers. Well, the first one definitely, and the second one kind of.
It wasn't a cliffhanger, but it was a great character moment.
Yeah, but I don't like character. I come from Lost, so I like the end of my show to be, oh my gosh, not good character moment.
I'd rather have a good character moment.
I like character moments in general, but just leave me something at the end to make me want to come back next week.
Maybe it's a case of if you've read the book, you loved it because you know who Syrio Forel is, and if you have not read the book, it didn't mean as much to you.
Luckily, I am committed to at least the first season because we're doing these videos, so
the second season.
The producers have me either way. But
yes. So a few other important things we found out in King's Landing.
Okay.
Number 1, we found out that the crown is bankrupt.
Yes, that does seem important.
It is not
Ned
good.
is furious.
Even more, they are in debt to the Lannisters, which is not
I did not pick up on that.
Yes.
Great.
By 3 million coin.
Wow.
So they are heavily in debt to the Lannisters, who made the declaration.
How is that
in this
possible
episode.
if they're part of the king's family?
They're not.
She
is married to him, but House Lannister is separate from House Baratheon. House Baratheon controls the crown. House Lannister is its own separate deal.
So, what's the queen's last name?
Baratheon.
There it is.
Yes. So, we also found the Lannisters plotting in this episode. Cersei talks to Joffrey and says, everyone but us is an enemy.
Yes, I remember that.
Meanwhile, Jaime...
Wait, now Joffrey is a little kid.
Joffrey is a little kid. Yes.
Like Jeffrey.
Kind of.
Okay, I'll remember it. Jeffrey. Little stupid Jeffrey.
Also, we find out that Jaime confirms that he is behind the assassination attempt on Bran, which isn't a shock because we saw him throw Bran out the window, so we assumed, but we had never known that he was the one who actually sent the assassin to try and kill Bran in his bedchamber.
Oh, I did not pick up on that either.
However, according to Littlefinger, it was not Jaime.
It was the imp.
Yes, because Catelyn brings Littlefinger the dagger.
And Tyrion had won it in like some sort of bet or something.
According to Littlefinger, Tyrion has won.
You're saying we can't trust Peter?
What I'm saying is that in this show, you need to recognize the concept of the unreliable narrator quite a bit.
Very nice.
Unless you hear something objectively, consider the source.
Unless you see it.
Exactly.
Don't trust it.
Exactly.
All right, that makes sense. Let us talk
one more major thing from King's Landing.
Okay.
In the scene where Barristan Selmy, Jaime Lannister, and Robert Baratheon are discussing old war stories, and the king is drunk, there is a huge, huge clue to why Jon Arryn was killed.
I did not pick up on it.
I will leave it at that. If you want to go rewatch the scene, there's a major clue.
Can you just tell me?
No.
Oh.
Because it will give it away.
Okay. Something that I want to talk about, lastly, about King's Landing before we move on, is Ned and Jaime's confrontation, which I thought was a pretty good confrontation.
Absolutely.
And so, sounds like Ned, even though I'm sure he's happy that the Targaryen king was killed, didn't really trust Jaime's motives.
No, and we have to remember...
he protected the king while it was convenient and then killed him when it was convenient.
Exactly. And you have to remember that Ned and House Stark are all about honor. So even though Ned was fighting against the king, he finds it extremely dishonorable that Jaime Lannister betrayed his vow as one of the king's guard.
And stabbed him in the back.
And stabbed him in the back. Like that.
Okay.
You also have to remember that one of the things you didn't hear in that story that you pick up on in the book is that Ned is the first one who walks into the throne room after Jaime has done it. And he finds Jaime sitting on the Iron Throne.
Oh, interesting.
Which has
very interesting.
Absolutely. So.
Oh, the throne, by the way, it's the first. This is the first time we've seen it.
No, it's not.
Dang it!
And it's completely made out of swords.
It's a pretty awesome throne.
When
did we see it before?
We saw it in the first episode.
Oh, well, it's a pretty sweet. I mean, I've seen it in the promo shots and the advertisements, but it's pretty sweet.
It's very cool. So lots of political happenings in King's Landing. Should we move on to the wall?
Yeah, I think there's something else I was going to say about Jaime. Wasn't There. Never mind.
Okay,
I'll
very
remember
good.
later. Let's go to the wall.
In the wall, we had 5 new characters we were introduced to.
5?
5.
Are you talking about the crooks? Are those people important?
A couple of them are.
Okay.
First, we have Sir Alistair Thorne, who is in charge of training the new recruits at the wall.
I remember him.
He's a bit of a jerk.
But he has to be. He's like an army sergeant. He has to be rough to make him strong.
Unnecessarily so.
I didn't pick up on that.
2 of the recruits that he's training, who were not important in this episode, but will be later, are Pip and Gren.
Yes, they said their names by name.
Yes. They did say their names by name.
So I did pick up on that, and they told a little bit of their backstory even.
Yes.
Neither of them are that bad of guys, right? One of them was trying to steal food for his sister or something, and the other one, what? I can't remember.
I don't remember either. But they're good characters. We also have Maester Aemon, who is the blind guy who is really old, speaking to Jon in one of the scenes. Or maybe Tyrion in one of the scenes.
I don't remember any blind people.
Yeah, he'll be important later on, but not a big deal yet. And then finally, the most important character we met this week at the wall, J.R. Mormont, who is the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
I remember him.
And is the father of Jorah Mormont, who is the knight who is riding along with Daenerys and Viserys.
Oh, that guy with the facial hair?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even know who he was really. I didn't know why I thought he was a translator.
Jorah Mormont.
Is he a translator?
No. He's a knight who has been banished from the realm.
Okay.
Because he was selling slaves. And he is now riding along with Daenerys and Viserys Targaryen. He's pledged himself to help them win back the throne. And his father is J.R. Mormont, who is the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
Is he the one that gave her the dragon eggs?
No, that was Illyrio, who was the guy they were staying with in the first episode.
I thought... So doesn't he do all the translating, though?
He speaks both languages, but he's not a translator. He's a knight.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Okay, now you do.
Good. There was... I mean, the only thing I thought that was interesting at the wall is that Jon Snow... At first, he was killing everybody in just practice fighting because he's been trained. No one else has been trained. But then by the end of the episode, you see him now training his comrades. So quickly you see them go from sort of enemy-ish, where they want to beat Jon Snow up because he's making them look bad, to, all right, we're kind of old friends now.
And the important thing you see there with that is that Tyrion Lannister is the one who is influencing Jon in that direction. He is helping him realize that he needs to step up into this larger leadership role and not just have this chip on his shoulder, that he's better than everyone else. Mm-hmm. So Tyrion seems to be doing some noble things up at the wall.
To me, by far, hands down, the best character on the show so far is Tyrion.
Yes.
He's so interesting. I mean, every scene he's in is interesting to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe it's just the actor is that good.
Yeah, he's a great character, great actor, and he fulfilled his promise from last week to piss off the end of the world.
That's correct.
Literally.
Yeah.
2 other important points from the wall.
Okay.
Night's Watch is very weak, we find out.
Yes. It turns out that they don't have nearly as many weapons or people as they need to really protect whatever's on the other side of the wall. So if anything actually did happen, the only thing separating the realm from, do they call it the wilderness, or what do they call it? The wild?
Yeah.
Is this weak band of brothers that really couldn't fight back.
And we find out that most of the noble lords completely think the Night's Watch is a joke, and that it's pointless, even though we know from the first episode of the first scene of the first episode that it's not.
Was that first scene of the first episode also the first scene of the book?
Yes.
Okay, that would be really important. I think one of the most interesting, and maybe not most important, but most interesting lines in the show last week was when Tyrion was talking about the only thing that separates us from the wildlings is which side of the wall our ancestors was on. Mm-hmm. So...
Bit of interesting dynamic going on there.
Very, very interesting.
And then final point from the wall, we see Benjen Stark is going to be riding north in search of the other Night's Watch members who have disappeared.
Who?
Benjen Stark is Ned Stark's brother, Jon's uncle, the guy with the long dark hair who is speaking to on top of the wall.
Oh, they're related?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that was a nice little friendly scene.
Yeah.
Okay, so we move on.
Finally to the Free Cities, couple important points here.
Why do they call it the Free Cities if they're just on horseback?
Because they are not bound under a single country.
So they don't have an actual home?
They do, and they're riding to a city right now.
Which city? Horse Lord Capital?
Something like that.
Okay.
I don't remember all the names.
Well, what kind of, the Dothraki?
Dothraki.
So maybe it's Dothrakian.
Maybe.
Dothrakis?
Not really. But the important thing here is that we see Daenerys stand up to her brother for the first time.
Oh my gosh, he's a jerk. I hate that guy.
And it was so awesome.
That guy is horrible.
He's horrible.
Well, so he got mad because she wanted to stop. Why did she want to stop? Do you know? She just wanted to break?
She just wanted to break.
And so she went out, took a little alone time, and he comes storming at her like,
yes,
you don't tell me when to stop. And then luckily, one of the Horse Lord King's guys, is that guy a king? The Horse Lord husband?
Kinda.
Whips him around the neck, chokes him. It was so good.
It was so good. Also, around that same time, we see Dany identify herself not as a queen, but as Khaleesi.
Yes, I heard that word. I don't know what it means.
It's basically the Dothraki word for queen, but she is identifying herself with Dothraki culture more than she is Westeros.
And then even people are calling her Khaleesi.
Yes, Khaleesi.
Khaleesi.
And she made a comment about what if someone stronger than Viserys was to lead them. The knights.
Slow down, Viserys. Who's Viserys?
Viserys is her brother.
Oh, okay.
And she was talking to Jorah Mormont about how he was weak. Jorah Mormont is the knight sworn to her.
The translator?
Not the translator. The knight sworn to her. And she made a comment to him about how Viserys was weak, but what if someone stronger was to lead the invasion?
I don't remember that scene at all. So she was saying her brother is weak and she wants to lead the invasion?
She's implying it.
Oh my gosh, Dany. She seems like a nice person. Why would you want to start an invasion?
I don't know. But Dany is also pregnant, we find out.
We do find out.
And Jorah Mormont, hearing that news, immediately leaves
to go tell somebody else.
Errand.
Yeah.
Is he up to something?
Well, it felt like to me like he had to go tell somebody.
Possibly.
So, I mean, if he's up to no good, that wasn't very sneaky.
Well.
Oh, you're pregnant? I'll be right back.
That's true. So, super dense episode tonight, Matt. What did you think?
Oh, wait. We didn't tell one thing. So
did we miss something?
We saw Horse Lord King.
Yeah.
Was that Khal
Drogo.
Khal Drogo, when he... I don't know if we saw the scene where he found out she was pregnant, but she said, it's a boy.
Yes.
And he's like, how do you know? And anyways, they're having kind of a nice scene together. It's not...
Their relationship has changed completely.
Yeah, so how much time do you think's passed between these episodes and some of their... I mean, we're in the third episode.
The timeline for Daenerys is going pretty fast.
Very fast, because there seems to be a romantic relationship. She's not just some woman he married who he can do whatever he wants with.
Yep.
There's lovingness there.
Yes.
So, I like that.
So... Your thoughts on the episode as far as quality goes. Did you love it?
Nope, didn't love it. Worst episode so far.
Are you kidding me?
Well, I told you that the first two were pretty good. Worst episode so far. I'm trying to think. There was interesting things about it, but I wasn't enthralled.
I was absolutely enthralled. There was so much intrigue going on in this episode. The politics are really starting to come out, and it's nothing compared to what's coming in the next couple of weeks.
So, I didn't hate it. I don't think I felt this strongly with you, and I like when something ends really strong, and I didn't feel like I had a strong ending.
I love the ending. Best scene in the series so far. As soon as I saw Syrio Forel, I couldn't stop smiling through the whole scene. It was a great moment. And for all of you Tyrion fans out there, which is pretty much all of us,
yes,
the next 2 weeks are going to be pretty enjoyable.
How do you know already? Have you looked ahead to see
I know what's in the book.
Are they following the book very, very
extremely closely? Which, by the way, I'm going to recommend this for you guys who are not having read the book before and having trouble keeping the characters straight. Go pick up a copy of Game of Thrones, not so that you can read it, but so that you can reference the appendix at the back. Because it has lists of all the different houses and all the different characters, and it will help you keep people straight.
But you made an important point to me off camera that it has to be the first book. If you pick up a book from a different part of the series, this spoils who lives and who dies.
Yes, and more to the point on that, don't go on the internet looking to keep characters straight, because all of the Song of Ice and Fire stuff out there is going to be through book 4. It will spoil you if you go out to Wikipedia or wherever else to get your information on keeping characters straight.
So, before we leave, is there anything else from the book that you think you can add to this video?
I think that we covered it pretty well. There's some exciting stuff coming up. The Lannisters are certainly plotting something. We're going to see some exciting stuff with Tyrion that I'm not going to talk about yet, but the next 2 weeks should be good. More stuff happening on the Wall, more stuff happening in the Free Cities, and it's going to be a great thing.
Up at Winterfell, Bran is paralyzed.
Oh, that's right. And does not remember anything.
He doesn't remember what happened. So he woke up, he's paralyzed, and he doesn't remember what happened.
Yes.
He has memories, but not from the time that he fell. So he does not know that he saw brother and sister sharing special time together.
That's correct. Special adult time.
So I think that's important.
Absolutely. Special adult time.
And if we end it there, I think we would have a better ending than the most recent episode of Game of Thrones.
Are you kidding me? Great episode. You're on the fence. I'm loving it. Can't get enough of this series. But we'll be back next week with more.
Well, that's all from here. I'm Matt Anderson.
And I am Bendy Bono.
We are the Sci-Fi Christians, signing off.